Hey, so the first video on my channel was my eating disorder story. That was years ago and things have changed. So I thought I would give you an updated version. This isn't going to be a commiseration. We all know that eating disorder sucks. And I just wanted to give a timeline because when you're in the midst of it, I've been dealing with this stuff for 7 years now. When you're dealing with it, the months crawl by and the feelings of extreme hunger feel like they're never going to stop, and the redistribution process is snail pace. So here is my story, and along with pictures, it's going to show you my timeline. So to start at the very beginning, I grew up as a very small girl. A lot of people would comment on how small I was and how light I felt. I was always behind on all the growth charts, but I kind of grew that as an identity because I was also strong and fast, and so people wouldn't expect much, and I was like, wow, surprise. But then I started actually gaining a amount of muscle, and then I started becoming dense. So in these first few pictures, this is when I was like short but dense, and so people would pick me up and say, wow, you're heavy, and then that would cause an identity crisis. But that's not what caused my eating disorder. I started track and field when I moved away when I was 14. I was also doing gymnastics and I wanted to be the best of both. And so I consulted the internet on how to improve my times. They said, hey, you should diet, lose weight, or just be careful of what you're eating. And so I was careful, and it started becoming obsessive. It wasn't really noticeable in my household though, because my sister had come home from school and embarked on a diet to lose a freshman 15. So me and her just looked like we were two kits and caboodles, two peas in a pod. So it was camouflage. However, she left for school and I just kept starving myself, and it became readily apparent that I was losing weight. I don't have many pictures from this time. I just have those Christmas photos. That's because my mom could barely bear to hug me, let alone take a picture to commemorate these moments of just starvation. And this is where I was really into calorie counting, obsessive. I didn't really have much exercise. It was just all about the calories. And part of the reason why I wasn't into exercise is I had injuries that would never fully heal because why? Because I wasn't feeding myself. So that's why. So this went from March of 2013 to probably March of 2014, where my mom took control of my eating, and she did this because I wasn't eating her brownie sundae on our birthday dinner. So then she took control. The thing is, she did the best that she could at the time, which she thought would just give me normal meals. I ate the normal meals, but I was never satisfied, always hungry, and I thought, what is the point of this? What is the point of being hungry but not being skinny? And that was my first introduction to quasi-recovery. This was my mom forcing me to, so I didn't have a choice. As the days went on, I gained about 20 pounds. I don't have pictures of this period much either, just because I wasn't into taking photos of me. But this is where I introduced exercise again, volleyball, including going to the gym to do cardio every day. I was only 20-ish pounds up. I actually don't know if I was more pounds up from my lowest point previously. And people commented on how thin I was. I remember in volleyball practice doing a handstand and my shirt came up, and one of the girls gasped at how many ribs were showing. That never happens to me. Bones that don't normally show on me. I don't have very many bones poking out of my corpus. Anyway, this was just an extended period of quasi-recovery from about ages 16 to 18 when I entered school, 16 to 17 when I entered school. When I was in my undergrad, I had complete control over what I was eating, and that translates to say I didn't eat. I didn't recover in the first place. For me, I recovered because my mom was forcing me to, and this was the time where it just derailed. So you can kind of see in that striped shirt photo that I looked kind of normal, but then the weight went down rather quickly, and that pink sweater, and then it continued going down. I think that the lowest weight was around that black dress period, and then the pink shirts period was in my first few days of recovery, so that was extreme bloat, which looking back on that, that does not look bloated to me. That I can't imagine my arm being that small. But yes, this was probably rock bottom for me. This is where I hadn't had my period for going on 3 years now. I felt like death. I obsessively exercised hours every day. I ate fruit and vegetables, and that was it. And I binged on these. My digestive system was not happy. I did not feel good. People commented on my appearance because at first they said, "Oh my god, you have that dream body," and then those comments disappeared when they kept losing weight. This was probably my lowest recorded weight. Then I started recovery. I've told you extensively why I chose recovery, mostly focusing on the research I had done, which I later collated into my thesis, including reasons such as osteoporosis. Recovery came, and with that came that bloat. So you can see that picture with my face. I just puffed out considerably. My face was very bony at the time, so that was very puffy for me. And I started going out on adventures, which was why I concluded that photo, because it was showing that even though I was miserable in the recovery process, I had a lot of more friends, a lot of fun. And then that first bout of extreme hunger happened, and that was mostly in the summer where I saw that weight pile on. So you can see in that green shirt, some of these poses are a little weird. I was posing to say hello to somebody, and then the pink bathing suit was just so I could figure out how much weight I was gaining. In the second photo, I think that these two pink bathing suit photos are funny, because in the second photo, you can see me sucking in really, really hard because I wanted to look like the first photo, but I didn't, and I thought it was funny how my boobs just went. You can definitely see how it first went to my stomach area and then it distributed to my boobs. My puberty, all I knew of myself was those pictures with Clifford, or the very early photos. I didn't know what I was supposed to look like in the future. And so that was terrifying. I didn't know what my post-pubescent body was going to be. And I just had the image of my mind of being that little girl, which I wasn't. And I soon learned that. We get into the redistribution period, which was a sizable process, including, I have that picture of the pink sweater again. This was again trying to mimic the first photo of me in the pink sweater. I'll flash that back for you. And this was just showing how I continued to redistribute, which was a long process, and I'll fast forward a little bit, but it took a while, and every month or two, every season, every semester, I was changing considerably, as you can see from the years on the photos. Which brings us to relapse. Relapse happened about 3 years after I started recovery, so it was surprising that it happened for me. I never had expected to relapse because I had my why so strong, but I started dieting when I came to where I am now for grad school. It was just hard to be comparing myself to my new classmates in sports bras because we're in a physical therapy program. So those black suspenders was right before I moved here, and then relapse happened. So I dropped around 20 pounds at this point. From the red shirt to the black bikini. Honestly, at this point, I did not look unhealthy. My weight, if I had told my weight to people, they would say, "Oh wow, what a healthy weight. What a great BMI, stars for you." But I felt terrible, and I was starving. I had no energy. All I did was study, work out, and think about eating. I ate just enough where it was acceptable, but not enough to actually fuel me. I felt terrible. I remember one day falling on the floor, almost fainting. I had those dizzy spells again. I was always cold. I wasn't great to be around. I was obsessive. To those I felt comfortable around, I talked about eating disorder thoughts constantly, but I was still lying to myself that, oh no, I have no problem. I have a recovery channel. And that's when I stopped lying to myself, when I fell to the floor. Which brings us to our second weight gain. The second weight gain, I had already entered puberty. I never lost my period at this point. There was less to fix her up in my body. So the extreme hunger lasted a considerably shorter amount of time, whereas in the first recovery it lasted months. This one lasted weeks, and the weight gain was more even from the get-go. It mostly went up to my upper arms, my boobs, my hips, rather than my stomach. Of course, I did gain weight in the stomach. Extreme hunger was high. I was bloated. In that pumpkin picture, that's around my highest weight. I don't have very many just frontal photos. Then you can see, even now, I'm still redistributing, I think. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to be doing next. But that green dress photo, the first one was taken as it says, and then the other one was taken last night. I did pose the exact same, so it was a good comparison. So yeah, that's my eating disorder story in a nutshell. There was so much more to it. The obsessiveness, the misery, the cold, the heat of extreme hunger, the stress of extreme hunger, the unknowns, everything I relate to. I have recovered at a low body weight where everybody was like, yes, girl, recover. And I've recovered at a weight where they're like, do you like really need to be eating like that many cartons of ice cream in a day? So I have a good handle, a good understanding of what recovery means. For me, recovery is just sticking with what I'm doing, knowing that I will always have a weakness if I go into a calorie deficit, that relapse is very possible and very dangerous to me. I never want to relapse again. I will never be so arrogant to say that I will never, but I have no plans to, and no plans to ever purposefully lose weight. So, that's my story. I have a lot more to say about it, but I will reserve that for other videos. I hope this was a good timeline, helpful for you. I hope that you were doing well, and I will see you later. Bye.